What up, guys? Una Truther here, and today we're talking about this new Converse ad. The media machine is really the gift that keeps on giving. Like, I woke up, like I'm sure many people did, and saw this ad on the front page of YouTube, as the sponsored ad to watch of the day, and even the subheading that comes up under the video title reads like it's a parody of what they're actually doing. It says, like, if nursery rhymes were written today, and you're expecting like this ultra woke, super sanitized PC thing, which it actually does wind up being. Like, that is what the video is. But they play it 100% serious. And even there's this great book that came out 25 years ago called Politically Correct Bedtime Stories that was super advanced, way more advanced than this commercial is, that was making fun of the trend towards political correctness. And it came out in 1994. And yeah, it was this parody of old school nursery rhymes that, of course, today are so like scary and objectionable. And there's one based on Little Red Riding Hood, and it starts out, there once was a young person named Red Riding Hood who lived with her mother on the edge of a large wood. One day her mother asked her to take a basket of fresh fruit and mineral water to her grandmother's house. Not because this was women's work, mind you, women is spelled with a Y here, but because the deed was generous and helped engender a feeling of community. Furthermore, her grandmother was not sick, but rather was in full physical and mental health and was fully capable of taking care of herself as a mature adult. So this book that came out in 1994 is miles ahead of this Converse ad in terms of like self-awareness and just critiquing old school nursery rhymes. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it and watch this atrocity of a video. Start with the strings.
There was a young woman who lived in a shoe. She had lots of ambition, intelligence too, but every promotion would go to some hack.
This part kills me. Every promotion would go to some hack, as if, the corporate world works anything like that. If anything, it's the opposite, where corporations are so afraid of being accused of racism or sexism that they'll immediately promote any person of color or woman or a gay guy who shows any degree of competence just because they're petrified of being accused of racism or sexism. Sam Hyde, I know, talks about this, about getting fired from Adult Swim, and how there were these executives who would literally talk about how they were promoting women to avoid, accusations of being sexist. So in the background you have these hot air balloons of white men, and there's one lady in the background. But yeah, it's like this evil corporate machine filled with white men, which really, Converse is a corporation making a commercial about this. So, clearly there's something going on here where it's a disconnect, it's sort of disingenuous, really. And then it's this lady walking down the stairs, quitting her dumb job. And then there's like faces at the bottom peeling apart, and it almost looks like a vagina or a clam. I think they're going for a little Birth of Venus Botticelli thing here. I'm not really sure, but it is visually interesting. It is complimenting what they're actually saying. So yeah, let's keep going here and move on to the second story.
Lived in a shoe.
Again, it's the woman who lived in a shoe. So even though all of this progressive blah, 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 it always comes back to the product. This is, they're still selling you something, people. Like, don't forget that. in all your rapturous glee that Converse is finally on the right side, don't forget that they're selling you a shoe.
She didn't have time to be told what to do.
She didn't have time to be told what
She
to
traveled the world and had no plans to
She
wed.
had no plans to wed.
It was her right to
It was
choose
her
the
right
life
to
that she
choose
led.
the life that she led. And it's like, who's standing up on a soapbox telling this lady that she has to get married? Where does this still happen? I get that, in third world countries or less developed countries, there are much stricter social mores than are in place in, the United States and Western Europe. But like, they're fighting against nothing here. Like, I don't know who they're talking to that, this is suddenly rebellious. It's like, this is the standard of society. This is establishment now. So yeah, I don't really know who they're talking to. And I saw a great comment from a guy who clearly gets it more than these people do. He's like, okay, so you want women to have no job security, to travel the world without any savings, and not listen to anything anybody tells them. Okay, got it. Like, that's great life advice, people. Yeah, Converse is saying, get woke, go broke, be childless, and die alone. Which, don't get married, don't do a job, don't listen to online trolls. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it's the preachy tone and the fact that it's coming from, again, another corporation that makes it so ridiculous. So let's move on to the final one, which might be my favorite.
There was a young woman who lived in a shoe. She was called every name, even a shrew.
So here they're trying so hard for the rhyme. She was called every name, even a shrew. Like, okay, we have to go back to Shakespeare just to to rhyme with shoe here. You couldn't come up with anything better than that.
But this little queen could not care less.
And then it's a commercial where they're like, this little queen, girlfriend. Like, I get that the voice actress is probably black lady and that she's allowed to say that or whatever. But again, it's the place this is coming from. It's a corporation who's, appropriating this use of black slang and, pretending that they're hip with the kids and that they're so woke. But, they're selling you something. Like, at the end of the day, that's what it is. Okay, she could not care less.
Because she had better things to do than listen to pathetic trolls scream at her for being a smart, confident woman.
And they just dropped the rhyme scheme. She had better things to do than listen to trolls online tell her to not be a smart, confident woman. It's like, okay, you reached for it so hard with shrew, and now you're just, okay, rhyme scheme is out the window. And I think what they're going for here is, they're telling you that it's serious now because they're not rhyming, and so you should really listen up. But again, I think it doesn't really work because what they're saying is so self-righteous and so ridiculous. And also here, they're sort of preemptively disregarding the flack that they know this video is going to get, right? Like, same with the Gillette ad. Like, they know it's going to get 1 million dislikes. So preemptively, they're like, oh, it's just trolls online. Like, somebody doesn't like this, must be trolls. It can't be reasonable people who are disagreeing with what I have to say. That doesn't exist. You're not allowed to not be woke in 2019. Like, come on, dude. Okay, and then it zooms out and we see Converse again. The women who lived in a shoe, as long as it was a Converse shoe. Okay. A cool skater shoe from 20 years ago. As long as you're smashing the patriarchy in Converse, more power to you. So, yeah, I mean, that's the video. And again, nothing they're saying is inherently wrong, right? Like, if you don't want to get married, if you don't like your job, whatever, that's your choice. Of course. Of course. But again, it's the place it's coming from. It's an establishment brand that's telling people how to live and how to act. It's just with a rebellious tone and with things that are supposedly rebellious. You know who the real rebels are right now? It's conservatives. Conservatism is the new counterculture. It's like, okay, this brand is telling me not to have a job, not to get married, not to have kids. It's like, all right, so doing all those things is now punk rock, essentially. So that's about it for this commercial, guys. I find it super entertaining and just completely whack. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.